old, so keep rocking that boat. Don't you listen to a word that they say.
My name is Antje Duvekot. I'm a singer-songwriter out of Boston, Massachusetts, and I want to share my experience about volunteering at Project Somos in Guatemala with my fans, and maybe inspire you to consider doing the same thing or joining me sometime. Guatemala is one of the poorest countries in the Western Hemisphere. About 60% of the population live below the poverty line. Project Somos, meanwhile, is a learning village. It's situated in the central highlands of Guatemala, and it focuses on working with indigenous children and their families, providing educational and nutritional programming to help lift individuals and their families out of poverty. I myself have visited and volunteered at Project Somos 5 times. And this short video gives you a peek at what visiting Project Somos can look like for you. I first came to Project Somos via another singer-songwriter named Martin Joseph, who is very involved with a lot of social justice work, and he brought me to this project on one of his volunteer trips. As a musical ambassador, I just noticed how happy I felt that week, building something with other people, for other people, versus building something for myself, by myself, which is what I'd always been doing with my life and my career. And I think that's the main thing that stuck with me, just realizing that there's another level of engagement that just felt really meaningful versus the more individualistic activities that we pursue where I'm from. And then I was hooked.
Strong wind, it can make you spin. That's the flip side of letting the light in. But you are fierce and brave, and you know the way. And from one pioneer to another, it's not that we aren't scared, but I'll meet you there, out in the open waters. Carry your boat.
And so I led my own trip in 2018, 2019, and 2020. And I just put the word out to my fans, and I told them what happened here. And the first intrepid group of people came in 2018 with me, and they were mostly people I didn't know, but they were fans of mine who just were on the same wavelength. And it was just a really wonderful group of people. And I felt just really proud to have helped the project, be able to help the project with my platform. We planted and we cooked and we peeled beans, and there's gardening, and so during the day we work different jobs on the finca, on the farm, and then in the evenings we tend to have some programming, like I play a show, a concert, and we have documentary time where we learn more about what the project does and also about Guatemala in the context of everything. Check out this cool building, which my group started in 2020. It's a food storage, and we began that, and now it's done. So the accommodations and food involve, in part, the community hall, and this is where we take our daily meals, which are prepared for us. Sometimes you can also volunteer and help prepare them in the kitchen, and it's the best, most freshest organic food. It's probably the best meals I've had. This is also the place where we gather at night, so after we've done our daily shifts, volunteering all over the project, we'll gather down here and just kind of relax from the day, take a quick shower, and the view is unspeakably beautiful. There's volcanoes over there, and stars over there, and we also do some of the programming up here. Like we have a cake and coffee hour at the end of the week. We do pizza oven for our goodbyes, and there's also sometimes a concert where the kids come up here, and I'll play for the whole community. And so it's just, this is our spot where we come together as a group after we do our various shifts. And so in terms of planning the logistics of the trip, it involves advertising from the stage, which is something that I do the whole year round. I just talk about the trip from the stage, and I tell people that they can come. Worried, am I going to be able to organize all this? But it's so well run at this point because they've done so many trips that it is all We have a guide as well that travels with us from the airport and back. And so the artist really, the main thing the artist really does, I think, is get the people on board and provide the music and the morale, if you will. Yeah, so the volunteer groups get put up here in these dorms, and that's where we sleep. And then in the morning we kind of drift down to the community hall where we have our breakfast, and everyone gets to kind of wake up and gather. And then we talk about the kind of activities for the day, and people can sign up for different things every day. So it's never boring. Like, you can always choose, like, what are you in the mood for today? A lot of it involves doing things with the children of the project. So one of the things that's been striking to me is that the first trip was 10 people, I believe, more or less. We were a really small group, and the ripples from it have been mind-blowing to me, because so many people of the first trip have not only come back, but they're looking to bring their own trips. Some of them have become board members, and they're spreading the word. So it feels like a small seed of doing just one volunteer trip can so much more, sort of the ripple effect was something I didn't even expect. So I think I would say my music is heavily focused on the human condition and social issues, but it feels often like an abstract, and I know that my music helps people, obviously, but it's an abstract thing. And so to be able to take that, care about humanity and put it into a little bit more of a tangible activity really helps also just make me feel more grounded in terms of my connection to humanity. One of my favorite things about being here is communicating across cultures and across language barriers, and then nonetheless making a connection and finding that humans are humans wherever you go. That's always the takeaway. So my very first trip with Martin Joseph was centered around building this, and so I remember being very, very dirty and very, very happy in the midst of this when it was just earth bags. But most of the volunteer trips since, it's been finished, and now this is a arts and crafts and music dome, and this is where we sometimes sing with the little children, and we do like head, shoulders, knees, and toes, and they're all like.
That prehistoric slug.
Love to see is when the groups. Often people don't know each other, and they have all taken a bit of a step toward perhaps something that took them a little bit of overcoming, like the uncertainty of what they're stepping into, and that just leads to everyone's individual journeys, and they overlap. Some people are people have different kind of things that are difficult for them, whether it's being in a country where they don't understand the language, and I love seeing everyone light up when they've conquered that initial kind of fear or hesitancy, and then they light up because they're here and they did it, and they're having such a positive experience with other people, and I mean, everyone just comes to life, and they just seem they're so positive too. I mean, the people that come on these trips, they're already going to be people who have that in them, and so the groups have always been incredibly joyful, and they bring a sense of wonder and of wanting to help. And I don't know, I just love seeing people though also be like, oh my god, I can't believe I did this, and I was like, should I? And then they just feel so excited that they did it, and they come home with a kind of a sense of growth, I think. So we try to make the trip a well-rounded experience for people, so they also get a little taste of what Guatemala is all about, and that involves some programming in the evenings where we do talk about the country as a whole, but it also involves a visit to the Mayan ruins, because we're here in Mayan territory and we're right near some really spectacular ruins, and we see them, and then we see the local market, which is, you have to have seen that. It's just so colorful and bustling, and people can bring home souvenirs. And at the very end, we'll do one more day in the historical capital of Guatemala, of Antigua, which is, I think it's on the UNESCO historical sites, so that we can kind of also relax and say goodbye to each other and have seen a little bit of the country. But the main point is to volunteer at the project and really get our hands dirty.